welcome back to the ERL INDYCAR series. As you can see, the drivers pulling across start-finish line at the track with one of the shortest start-finish lines of the calendar. But once again, it's a Sims driver starting at the front. This time out, it is Micah leading the pack here in Watkins Glen ahead of Lewis Olsen and Kwon Todoroki. Behind him is Mikion Gurovic, then Carson Thornburg, Linus Eriksson, and Niven Colby. Behind Colby is Hexel Mark Safsan, Francis Austin, and O'Quee. Then you've got Elliot Deli, Ewa Puff, Max Bortkar, Ghosted, Lil Buns, Tommy, Salos Kynes, Enoch Q, David Camno, Sebastian Messian, and TJ Davis. For Newman Haas, once again rearing the back of the pack. As you can see, in these wet conditions, it's not even light rain, it is heavy rain. As you can tell by the fact that we have the blue-walled wet tyres instead of the usual green-walled intermediates. Not too sure why it's actually green instead of something that probably represents wet conditions more. Why couldn't they make it grey or something like that? You know, a colour that water can be, like grey. I guess they're trying to emulate nature, I guess. I don't know. As they're heading down the back straight, the pace car will peel into pit lane pretty soon, I hope. Yeah, there you go. There's the official confirmation. Pace car will pull into the pits. And we will get back underway. We will get underway, rather, here in Watkins Glen. As they head through the final chicane. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Milsauce getting a pretty good start as we go on board with the 11. Heading through the first chicane here in Watkins Glen. Ahead of Lewis Olsen and Kwon Todoroki. Look how much foliage there is around here. Linus Eriksson. Everyone actually staying effectively single file. TJ Davis, however, trying to buck that trend. He's up into 21st currently. Lewis Olsen with a fastest opener. As here comes David Camno down the inside for 19th position. He's going to stay alongside him, and he's going to keep him for company. As here comes an RQ, looking for a way to go past Salas Kynes further up. Lewis Olsen, another faster sector. He's taken the lead. That is a swap for position with Lewis Olsen for Hyperdrive Racing now leading ahead of Milsauce Mike and Kwon Todoroki as they head down this long back stretch. If this chicane was flat out, I'm telling you this right now, well, there would be no question you would be hitting 330 like they do in Indianapolis. And we've got TJ Davis in the wall. Oh, that's with Enoch Q also in the barriers with him. Yellow flags have been waved and TJ Davis is in the barriers. He's trying to get himself out of there, and I think he's done it, yeah, but he's dropped down to 22nd in last position. Enoch Q, of course, involved in that as well. Sebastian Messian dropped down the order due to that incident. And for Ewa Puff in the 9, well, he's going to have to wait a long while to try and take a first win. Milsauce Micah has gone past Lewis Olsen and has set a fastest second sector of anyone. Of course, pushed to pass the aerodynamic form not available yet. However, the rechargeable battery pack form is usable, as you can see the 33 of Kwon Todoroki using on Mikion Gurovic to try and get himself back up into third. As you can see, Lewis Olsen sending it down the inside through the chicane. Kwon gets himself alongside Gurovic. Olsen gets himself just behind Milsauce. Fastest lap of 102.916 for Mikion Gurovic in fourth, as he's lost out on holding on to that podium position. Linus Eriksson with a track limits warning. That's his first of the day. He gets 4 of those, and it's a 5-second time penalty. And am I doing the accent on purpose? Find out next time on the ERL INDYCAR series as Carson Thornburg, fastest first sector of anyone. Is that Kwon trying to make a move on Lewis? It is. He's going to try and go down the inside. He's not quite got it. He's still alongside the Norwegian. Is the Japanese driver who won in Sao Paulo. Looks to try and lunge down the inside. He's not going to be able to make that move. So he's now got 9% push to pass to try and attack Milsos Micah with. Unless he's just going to have to try and do slipstream here. And honestly, to try and do the slipstream, that doesn't feel like it's going to be possible. As they head down the hill, staying on board with Kwon, as we're on to lap 5 of 17 here in Watkins Glen. Milsos Micah leading from Kwon Todoroki and Lewis Olsen. And you know what, Lewis, now being in third, he's getting a pretty good slipstream behind the two cars in front of him. They're still fighting further back for position, of course, but I don't think any of the positions that are being fought for have major points implications, as here comes Kwon Todoroki looking for a way to get past. Not quite able to. He's going to have to be forced to the inside if he can make it work, of course. Down the inside comes Kwon Todoroki, forces Milsos off the track. Track limits warning, and the Japanese driver is into the lead. Niven Colby's off. Colby's been given a track limits warning, and I believe Hexel Mark would have hit him, and they would have both hit the wall for the yellows to come out. And Saf San, of course, with a bent, not even a bent, a broken front wing. So he's certainly been involved in that incident too. Francis Austin trying to close in. Saf San staying out to try and just see how bad a lack of grip like that is going to do, especially in wet conditions when downforce is king. Milsos in the number 11 car, he's behind Kwon Todoroki by over a second. I think Kwon right now might be in a brilliant position to take his second ERL Series win. I believe be the second IndyCar driver to take 2 wins. Second, of course, behind Niven Colby, but he'll be the first one to take both wins on the road. And officially, as you can see, Gurevich and Olsen fighting over third position. The 35 alongside car number 95, Francis Austin, getting a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision, as Gurevich has found his way up into third position on board with Olsen, heading down the hill. Alongside each other they go. 10 laps to go, and Mekion is still just about ahead as they head through the first chicane. And look who's hopped onto the back of this pack. Linus Eriksson in the number 8 car for McLaren. He's looking for a way to get past 2. A lot of teams are going to show off their new looks by the time the season ends, of course, and honestly, I'm somewhat excited for some of the new liveries, especially for a team like McLaren in both series. You know what? In the ERL Formula E Series, Season 22, that's the first season where I've made every livery by myself in a long, long time, as Consac's almost the wall for Linus, but he's up into 4th position. But for the IndyCar Series, barely any of these liveries I myself made. Most of these liveries come from across the Monoposto Discord server. Now, obviously, considering recent events, me being banned, I cannot do that anymore. And that means I'm going to have to make 33 different livery images for Seasons 23 and Season 2, respectively. That's going to be tough, to say the least. Especially considering that I expect to start these seasons in the 2nd week of April. So, yikes. Eriksson on the back of Mekion Gurevich. On board we go with the Swede, driving car number 8. He's doing his best to try and close in. He's not quite close enough to try and make any moves. Puff, by the way, he's been going backwards, same with Oikui. They were close to the top 10 when this race started, and they are firmly outside of it right now. Juan Todoroki, however, still certainly leading this race and leading it comfortably. Milsos Micah in the number 11 Sims Motorsport car. And we've got yellows in the third sector. Tommy's had an off further back, and I wonder if the yellows have been for Tommy, if we can find him. It's not been for him. Lil Buns is missing part of his front wing and will have to come into the pits anyway because the track is drying up. The teams have decided to put on inters. There's a possibility, of course, that it goes dry straight up. And you can see that is one of the Haas drivers going in for dry compound tires. Rain was falling for a second there, but I think it might have stopped. We go on board with Milsos, rather Linus Eriksson, and you know what? There is still some drops of rain, but was pitting. Too early a decision. By the time we come back to the back straight, there will be only 10, not even 10 laps to go. There will be 7 to go. And look at that. It's drying up. It's dry here in Watkins Glen. Juan Todoroki, in fact, most of the field who isn't Ewa Puff, Sebastian Messian, Anot Q, Lil Buns, David Camno, and TJ Davis. Those are the guys who went on to dry compound tires, and you can tell it is dry right now. And just for prior notice, for when we raced in, I believe, in Canada before in the ERL, there's a lot more foliage around here. It looks like local efforts have been working out quite well. Quan comes in, and the highest driver on the dry compound tires is Ewa Puff. He's going to be the man who will benefit the most from all of this. Juan Todoroki, he's coming through pit road, and he's still leading with 7 to go. He's not worried about this at all. Milsos Micah will not have to make another stop, though. He's on the hard tires. Same with Lewis Olsen and Niven Colby. And Niven Colby, certainly a title favorite. He hasn't really had too much of an adventurous day today. For Ewa Puff, his race has been saved by the rain clearing up. That's all I can really say. Because it is not wet anymore. It is dry. So dry. In fact, if you are to go off-road, that is when you're going to start feeling, oh dear, there's no grip down here. Lil Buns with the fastest first sector of anyone, and Juan Todoroki 4 seconds ahead of Milsos Micah. TJ Davis in, I think, if I can find him, he's in 18th position. Right behind O'Quee. In fact, he's alongside him, heading through the chicane. Look at how beautiful this place looks when it's not raining all the time. And in fact, look at Ghosted going down the inside on David Camno. Gives them both space, unlike the drivers behind Davis. Getting a second track limits warning. And that forced Quee oh so wide. You can see him using push to pass, and it's not even working for him because he doesn't have momentum. 320 kilometers per hour. Lil Bun setting a fastest lap of the Grand Prix of Watkins Glen, and TJ Davis setting a new one, 101.933 as they head through the chicane. And yeah, they did open up this chicane in particular. Honestly, brilliant decision to make that opening few turns so much more open. I know it sounds weird, but if you're driving the track, you're certainly going to feel how much better it is to drive compared to the original proposed layout. If only something like that could happen in London, because Jesus, that final chicane is still absolutely ludicrous. Linus Eriksson, fastest lap, 101.916 in second position. He's ahead of Milsos now. He's trying to close in. What is his tires saying? That's 80% on the dash. So he's lost 20% in 2 laps. He's not making it to the end. TJ Davis, 1:450. I think Davis, he's got a good shot of making his way into the top 10, especially seeing as he's one of the few drivers on the softs. In fact, the most popular tire right now seems to be the hard compounds. Elliot Daly with the fastest first sector of anyone in 19.4. Here comes Lil Buns into the points bank positions on those mediums, up into 10th position. As you can see, Niven Colby having to defend from Safsan as he attacks Ewa Puff. Into the hairpin they come. Keeping it on track is what they can do, and You know what? I think most of the drivers are doing a pretty good job at that. Ghosted, however, alongside Max INDYCAR, and he's going to get himself into 16th position using push to pass. And in Watkins Glen, when we arrived here, it has been so long since we've last raced at a circuit like this in either ERL category. We were seriously worried if we were going to have similar Season 4 Canada shenanigans where drivers would be flying over the pit lane walls, but no, it's all fine. But of course, as we're on board with Hexel marking 18th, there's not actually too much more to say. If we're looking at a fight further up, you've got Milsos Micah and Lewis Olsen squabbling over the final position on the podium. And then you've also got the top two having to manage their soft tyres. You can see blistering on Quan's softs already as he heads through the chicane. Although drivers have been doing their best to make their tyres last a lot longer. So, of course, I think it's probably going to be a lot more to do. And that's O'Quee further down the order in 20th with a track limits warning as well. With 3 laps to go. And you want to know something? I think further back is that, yeah, that's Salos Kynes and Tommy close together fighting for 21st position with 3 laps left to run. And here comes Lewis. He's getting himself up into 3rd there. There goes the hyperdrive driver. Look at the speed that they're getting out of that chicane. They are not braking in the slightest. And it is one of the most magnificent things to see. It's one of the biggest showcases of speed, this very chicane, and it's absolutely wild how they don't hit anything. Knock you with a track limits warning further back. You are Puff not able to make any moves. Not yet. And the soft tyres, well, you can see the state of them. 54%. Elliot Deli further back, getting a track limits warning as well. So many warnings being issued out, and all of them are first times. It seems. No one going off down at the hairpin, thankfully. That used to be a minor issue, of course, with how sharp it was. Drivers thinking that they could carry a lot more speed than they actually could. And TJ Davis comes into the pits, and he will go on to another set of soft tyres. So he's done an Inter soft, which honestly, in these conditions, I think the hard tyres might actually be the optimal tyre to use in a race like this. It starts wet for most of it, and then at half race distance it becomes dry. Are you really going to try and stick it out on tyres that certainly might make it to the end, or will you make it to the end with tyres that will make it to the end? As you can see, Saf San utilising his softs and colliding! Yellow's in the 3rd sector, and that is for the broken front wing that you are Puffers left on the track, and in fact someone else has gone off, weaving for Max INDYCAR. Track's been cleared, and he's got a bit of damage. David Camno also with a bit of damage. And for you are Puff, well, that certainly wasn't his fault. He was just ran into the side of, and his front tyre clipped with Ewer's front, so there's not too much to argue about. Look at the state of the softs for Quan Todoroki, though. The fact that he's still in this, I don't think that they can risk pitting here. If you can cast your minds back to the 2007 Formula 1 Chinese Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton, he was dominating that. He could have become champion in that race. But when he came into the pits, that killed his race because he didn't have the grip to actually make the turn in. It's probably going to be something similar for the soft tyre runners right now. I don't think they've got the grip to make it into pit lane, let alone actually benefit when it comes to the actual tyres. So as we now head on to the final lap, Quan Todoroki is on the verge of taking his 2nd ERL Formula... not even ERL Formula E, it's ERL INDYCAR Series win. And to do it in such quick succession, it's race 6 of 14 in Season 1. I have to remind you, this is Season 1. This is the first season of INDYCAR. And you've seen racing like this. You've seen racing where it's been decided on the final lap. And for the man who's approaching the final sector right now, he knows exactly what that looks like. You are Puff. He's struggling out there. He's got a lot less downforce than anyone else. He's got less drag, so that makes a lot of turns like this a lot harder. Oqui in 19th position, getting a track limits warning. But for this man, Quan Todoroki, he's had no such issues ever since he's taken the front of the pack. He heads down into the final chicane. And Andretti Green Racing have a second ERL IndyCar Series win. Quan Todoroki wins it, and out of the race goes Sebastian Messiaen. He's sideways, Bun hits him! On the final lap, the full course yellow comes out for the first time. Lil Bun's still in this, thankfully. He ran into the side of him. And he should be okay after that hit. But the full course yellows are out to end this race under the caution flags. And we now technically get back underway, but I doubt any moves are going to be made. They're all single file. And it will be Carlos Sainz making up the road of the field. This is the podium then, and you can see Quan absolutely jubilant. He's so happy down there on the podium to win a second ERL Series race ahead of Lewis Olsen and Linus Eriksson. Milsos Micah came across the line in 4th ahead of Mikhail Gurovic and Carson Thornburg. Then it's Sashan, Ewan Puff, Niven Colby and Elliot Deli, with the non-scorers being Francis Austin and Not Q, Ghosted, Hexel, Mark, Max Bortkar, Lil Buns, TJ Davis, Oqui, David Camno, Tommy, and Carlos Sainz with the non-finisher on the final lap, being Sebastian Messiaen. In the driver's standings, Quan Todoroki now leads 1 point ahead of Mikhail Gurovic. Then it's Niven Colby, Elliot Deli, Carson Thornburg, Lil Buns, Linus Eriksson, Lewis Olsen, Ewan Puff, Oqui, Milsos Micah, Ghosted, Carlos Sainz, Sav Stan, Anok Q, TJ Davis, Francis Austin, Hexel Mark, Tommy, Max Bortkar, Sebastian Messiaen, and somehow, as we do in the Formula E Series, we have a driver who's yet to score any points. Here, it's David Camno. In the constructors' standings, heading into the 7th round of the season, halfway mark, Chip Ganassi lead the way on 96 points from Dragon Penske and Sims Motorsport. Then it's Andretti, Newman Haas, Hyperdrive Racing, McLaren, Apex Pinnacle, Prema Power Team, Power Motorsport, and Revolution Racing. So we'll see you guys next time then. We'll see you guys tomorrow, rather, when the ERL IndyCar Series returns. I gotta sleep.